Across the world, certain prisons have etched their names into history as symbols of horror and inhumanity. Russia's Black Dolphin Prison, Rwanda's Gitarama Prison, Iraq's Abu Ghraib, and Morocco's Tazmamart Prison are infamous for their appalling conditions and brutal regimes. Some, like Tazmamart, have since been closed permanently, while others remain operational. Yet even these institutions pale in comparison to a prison born from the depths of nightmares, a realm of monsters and demons. Its name is Saydnaya Prison, a place Amnesty International once described as a human slaughterhouse. In Saydnaya, death is not feared but hoped for, though it seldom comes swiftly. Known as the Black Hole, Saydnaya swallows its prisoners whole, leaving no trace. Those who enter emerge either as ashes, mummified remains, or food for the dogs. Nestled in the mountainous terrain east of Damascus, Saydnaya was constructed in 1987 under Hafez al-Assad's rule. Originally designed as a military prison, it aimed to tighten the Ba'ath Party's grip on power, crush dissent, and silence opposition. It also served as a detention center for high-ranking officers accused of treason, insubordination, or corruption. Such an agenda demanded a fortress, a facility capable of disappearing threats and erasing their existence. Situated approximately 30 kilometers north of Damascus, the prison resembles a fortress surrounded by towering walls and strict security. Its strategic location ensures quick access for government forces while keeping detainees far from civilization. This isolation prevents any public sympathy for the prisoners or knowledge of the horrors within. The Castle of Death, as some call it, consists of two main buildings, the Red Building and the White Building. Each structure contains multiple floors with narrow cells designed to hold the maximum number of inmates in minimal space. The prison's architecture itself is a tool of torment, stripping away any semblance of humanity from those who enter. Upon arrival, new detainees are subjected to a welcome party. Blindfolded, they are led to a special room where guards unleash a barrage of beatings and electric shocks, using every conceivable method of torture. When the initiation is over, the prisoner is sent to their cell where another form of suffering begins. The cells are tiny, suffocatingly hot, and devoid of natural light. Basic amenities like clean water, bedding, or proper sanitation are non-existent. Prisoners sleep on the ground in their own filth, often standing until their legs give out or their bones snap. The food provided is rancid, moldy bread, salty water, and rotting vegetable scraps, barely edible even for scavenging animals. Survival here means living on the brink of death, reduced to little more than a skeleton. Those who have survived Saydnaya tell of its cruel isolation cells, nicknamed the graves. These are reserved for those who dared to demonstrate or protest. For minor infractions, like sneezing or dozing off, prisoners are dragged from their cells to be beaten mercilessly. For more serious offenses, the torture escalates. The guards' arsenal of torture methods includes the wheel, the German chair, and electric shocks. In the wheel, prisoners are contorted into a car tire, their arms and legs bound as they are beaten with iron rods until they lose consciousness. The German chair stretches and contorts the body until the spine snaps, leaving many paralyzed. Electric shocks, often applied at high voltage, cause seizures, damage vital organs, and sometimes leave permanent brain injuries. Execution is another grim routine at Saydnaya, carried out in the dead of night. Prisoners, blindfolded and bound, are dragged to execution chambers where they are either hanged or shot. Amnesty International estimates that between 2011 and 2015 alone, over 13,000 people were executed at Saydnaya. This number doesn't include those who died from starvation, torture, or untreated illnesses. Mass graves near the prison serve as silent witnesses to the atrocities committed. With the fall of the Assad regime, more harrowing truths about this prison may come to light. In the Syrian revolution, Saydnaya became a tool for the Assad government to break not only its opposition, but the spirit of an entire nation. Its name, whispered in fear, serves as a warning to anyone daring to question the regime, a chilling testament to the lengths a dictatorship will go to maintain its grip on power. In the shadow of the Syrian regime's iron grip, activists, journalists, medical workers, and even ordinary citizens suspected of opposing the government were rounded up and sent to Saydnaya prison. After the revolution began, Saydnaya's purpose evolved beyond punishment. It became a tool of terror, a grim warning of the fate awaiting dissenters. One survivor, known only as Omar, described the horrors he endured. Packed into a cell with 50 other detainees, he watched helplessly as most of them succumbed to starvation, disease, or sheer neglect. Guards would storm into their cell daily, beating the prisoners savagely. Some were beaten to death. Another survivor, Sami, recounted a psychological torment called the execution game. At night, guards would call out prisoners' names at random, making them believe their execution was imminent. This deliberate tactic of fear was designed to break prisoners mentally, ensuring that even those who survived the physical torture might never escape the prison of their own minds. When the horrors of Saydnaya began to surface, the world reacted, not with action, but with silence. Despite evidence that dwarfed even the atrocities of Nazi concentration camps, there was no emergency UN meeting, no international intervention. Of course not. The Syrian government dismissed the allegations as a grand conspiracy, calling them Western propaganda aimed at undermining a resistant regime. Independent investigators and international monitors were never granted access to Saydnaya. In 2017, Amnesty International published a chilling report titled Human Slaughterhouse, Mass Hangings, and Extermination at Saydnaya Prison. It detailed the inhumane conditions, mass executions, and systematic abuse within the prison. The report estimated that between 20,000 and 50,000 people had been detained in Saydnaya since 2011, many of whom were never seen again. To grasp the scale of this injustice, imagine if those prisoners were of a different identity, perhaps Jewish. The outrage would be deafening. Yet as of this moment, Saydnaya still stands, filled with inmates. No liberation has come, no justice delivered. I only learned of Saydnaya through a chance encounter. A year ago, while researching the world's most notorious prisons for a video, I stumbled upon its name repeated in the comments. Intrigued, I turned to Google and YouTube, only to uncover a horror I hadn't anticipated. Saydnaya is nothing less than a modern-day Inquisition, a 21st century embodiment of the Spanish torture chambers, run not by medieval crusaders, but by an Arab regime claiming to resist Israel and defend Palestine. Reading about the methods of medieval inquisitors, burning people alive, splitting them in half, hanging them until their limbs tore apart, or impaling them, I never imagined such atrocities could exist in an age of supposed human rights and international justice. Yet here we are, in the era of the United Nations and the International Criminal Court, witnessing cruelty that makes demons blush. This raises a haunting question. Will we ever see Bashar al-Assad and his cronies stand trial at The Hague like Ratko Mladic, the butcher of Bosnia? For now, Saydnaya remains a festering wound, a testament to the depths of human cruelty and the world's indifference. Only time will tell if justice will prevail or if this chapter will join the long history of unanswered atrocities.